Boom. So, they're coming at us from all angles. Or so they think. Let's get into it. Boom! Hello legends, how are you doing? I hope you're utterly firing on this, another day in paradise. And don't forget, no matter what this lot think they're doing, they don't destroy our paradise, friends. It is so important we keep our vibration high. Because somebody very kindly, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name, get so many comments. They said, Chris, if you think the Fabian Society is bad, you want to check out Common Purpose. Here's the thing. They're all bad. It's all an evil insurgency based on a Middle Eastern cult of 400 years old. If you want to check that out more, just check out the Sabateans. I'm just going to briefly flash you up their agenda if I can find it. These are the Sabateans, which came around about 400 years ago after a chap called Sabatai Z or Sabatai Zevi, basically this Middle Eastern sex cult got together with the European banking aristocracy. I've blanked out the person's face there, but one of them died very recently. No clue who that family could be. And they got together with Weishaupt's lot. Weishaupt was your original torchbearer who formed his Illuminati based off the back of sort of, esoteric information along the lines of the knowledge the Freemasons brought out the Middle East. And what was a planned New World Order. But essentially, this triumvirate got together and they said, look, we're the Middle Eastern sex cult. We're going to screw people down through debauchery. We're going to get people to live in their lower base animal self. We're going to have online on everywhere, all over the internet, to get young men all confused and addicted and completely living in their loins. We're going to chuck junk food at everyone. We're going to have cheap alcohol to cut people off from spirit, because your body is a crystal, and if you can't connect with spirit, you're going nowhere, sunshine, right? And they've done a really good job, and the bankers said, well, look, you're the Middle Eastern sex cult. We want you to get the Madonnas of this world, the Sam Smiths. We want to smash children as young as 3, 4 with massive sexuality to really confuse them. What gender should they be? Then the bankers came in and said, right, we're going to use fractional reserve lending and Babylonian money magic, so black magic basically, to screw people down with mortgages for the rest of their life, to fiddle them through interest, to have sort of double ledgers, this kind of stuff. And finally, the Weishaupt said, right, well, we're going to communicate this cult so that only the members of this cult recognize the secret signs. So we're going to communicate through numbers, numerology, gematria, for example, symbology, stuff that the common man in the street wouldn't understand. And even if he got an inkling of it, we're going to brainwash them with terms like tinfoil hat and conspiracy theorist, because their level of intellect isn't enough to rise above that, because their anchors in life, their educational anchors, they don't have enough of them to put together the dots, as David quite often says. And how are we going to make sure they haven't got these educational anchors from which to make sense of life? Well, we're going to dumb them down. We're going to dumb them down through digital technology, through the black box in the corner of the room, through our media, which we own. So my point is, folks, it doesn't matter who your which organisation. Pick the church, Vatican, same thing again. There's a reason they have a pine cone outside the Vatican. Vatican? The Vatican. The Vatican, right? And you know why that is. It's the pineal gland, isn't it? The pineal gland. It represents enlightenment. And if you ever have a look at that coffin at the Vatican, you'll see that there's, the pine cone, you'll see there's a coffin underneath it. This goes again back to ancient times where if you take ancient Egypt, you weren't a human being until you'd woken up. This is why I'm always talking about energy, vibration and frequency. You weren't a human being. You were considered a dead person. When you were down here in what we call the matrix, folks, and before you all go getting cocky and thinking, yeah, I'm not in the matrix, Chris. Yes, if you're awake, quote, I'm not talking woke. If you're awake, you're still in the matrix because you're still yet to learn what the ancients knew, which is this is an energy battle. If you want to win the day and keep your vibration high, first thing I said on this podcast, you got to get out of all this like trying to wake up every Tom, Dick and Harry and, getting upset because your family all think you're mad. You got to rise above that, friends. You got to get out of there. That's the trap. But the Egyptians realized that until you physically raise your body's vibration so that you are meeting a new reality, not the old reality of the 3D matrix, what you believe, what you see on the television and all that kind of stuff and, in the news. They said that you're not even alive. You're not a live person yet. You just stay dead, sunshine, right? Until you can understand this science, this quantum level science. It sounds complicated, doesn't it? It's not. It's just understand that the ancient Egyptians called their gods Netta. Net, like internet, like big net. The net being the quantum energy in life of which you're from and which I'm from. So I'm already going on quite a lot more than I meant to. But what I'm saying is it doesn't matter what the organization is. Church, the dark art, the dark secret societies, Fabian society, whatever. They've all got one thing in mind, because they're all being controlled by the people, by this 400-year-old cult, essentially, which controls all the religion, and it takes advantage of, the greedy people in religion, you could say, and it uses them as this big evil web for their new world order. And all we got to understand is they're keeping people down here. They're keeping people in identity, in an identity that doesn't exist. It's why they slap a birth certificate on you. And why doesn't it exist? It doesn't exist because essentially, and I've shown this a lot, I know I'm going to show it again, you are me and I am you. We're just a manifestation of the quantum energy field. And if we want to change life, this is why you do it through raising your vibration, folks, not bashing your neighbour over the head because he is or isn't wearing his underpants on his face or whatever the thing that the problem, reaction, solution they're throwing at you today. You do it this way. You recognize that I am you and you are me. That's why I say quite a lot, I love you unconditionally. You are awesome and I want the best for you. If you get the best podcast in the whole wide world tomorrow, my job is done. I'm so happy for you because you are me and I'm you. And they don't want you to know this. This is why they focus on sexuality, gender, skin color, as if all that nonsense matters. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're born with a pair of tits and a knob, you're still beautiful and you don't have to change for anyone. You're a legend. absolute legend. You don't change. This lot want you to make you feel awkward, don't they? Want to make you feel like you don't belong. They want you to live a life in fear, so you're easily controlled. Now, moving swiftly on, as I believe the expression is. So you look at these monsters come together for their new world order. I've shown you it exists, because if you haven't seen Sam Smith on the telly, not that we watch telly, but you see him on the internet, don't you? Utterly brainwashed MK Ultra individual, strutting his stuff in his bondage gear, which has got Teletubbies on it, right? Do you need to say any more? He's singing songs from the perspective of a 4-year-old child witnessing their parents' divorce because daddy's going to the club, the club where he gets favors and da. I'm not talking about the Freemasons. I'm talking about the sex club, right? This is how evil these individuals are. You can see it's working, and when you look at their agenda, it's this one here. You can see this is coming true, folks. You don't need to be a tinfoil out, a conspirator, or whatever the hell they want to call you this week. You can see that there's stuff going on with the monarchy, an ordered government, that they're pushing for a one world government with their United Nations. You can see they want to get rid of private property. Nobody can afford it now. They want everyone to they don't even want you to rent. They want it all to be on digital credit, which you will have to toe the line in order to get. Abolition of patriotism is why they're flooding you with illegal immigration. Abolition of family life. They're even making changes to this now, as Finn pointed out in the other night's stream. In Ireland now, you're not allowed to call a family a family. The head of a family doesn't have to be in the traditional marriage sense as it always has been. Anyway, so it doesn't matter, folks, whether it's Fabians, whether it's this, all institutions have been infiltrated by the club. Whether you want to focus on the Sabatean element of control, whether you want to just think of it as international corporate psychopathic business, it doesn't matter. They have their people in everything, including this. Friends, can we get a like and subscribe, please? We've got quite a few people watching, and we really struggle as a channel because we tell the truth. You know that video I did the other day on the old, was it the Fabians? Do you know how long that's been flagged to the old platform for? Days now. That means I get paid nothing on that. That means that I, and whoever kindly did it with me, it was Kenny, wasn't it? Like, we get nothing for that. And the fact that it's been flagged for days tells you they've sent that one to the bigwigs. That's gone to the intelligence agencies, basically, so they can keep an eye on me. So if you can, please subscribe, folks. That is really going to help. You'll make up for all the people that get unsubscribed. Moving swiftly on, this guy here, he's a bit of a legend. He's a nice guy, and he came up through gaming. He's called Bruce Everest, and I can tell you he's nice because I've read the comment section, and he's done this expose on the secret society running Britain. Remember, they all work together. They don't know they work together, but when they're destroying the energy, folks, when they're keeping people in their lower matrix self, they are all working together. Now, he's talking about this society called common purpose. Anything with common on, great, whatever, is basically communist subversive manifesto put out by the big club, basically. I'm not talking like China or Russia. I mean the Sabateans, to push for their new world order. You can recognize here, Bruce has laid out for you. Here's common purpose in the middle. I can't go through everything, but look, methods. Neuro-linguistic programming. This is the art of dumbing people down without them even realizing. You see it massively in university. Just give you one example in society where they've really pulled off a biggie. That is, they want to dumb people down and sissify them, to effeminize men, so men are no longer a threat to them, essentially. Have you noticed how the word dead or deaf or died is being erased slowly from society? Instead, they've replaced it with a word past. And you see almost everyone uses that word now, and you can see the fear in their eyes when they have to tell you that, you know, their dad's just died, because that's what it is. They died. I mean, effectively, we've kind of gone through a bit of an energy change, if we want to get it right. But you can see how afraid people are to just speak their mind now. So they copy the person next to them, what they've just heard, and he said pass, so I better say pass, because I wonder, you know, I hate to think what people would think. And you can see the social isolation they create within people's own minds. So that's an example of that. Adjectives, all the usual objectives of the agenda. Let's just read a bit of it. I'm talking quick, folks, because I've got another meeting at 5. If I've got time, I'm going to go over to locals after this for 5 minutes just to explain a bit more about the energy, vibration, frequency. There's a link for locals below. Most people reading this will never have heard of common purpose. This is because, like the Masons and Mafia, secret society. One way they create their blanket of secrecy is by applying what they call Chatham House rules, which basically means that whatever happens within common purpose stays within common purpose. That's a cult, folk, or one of the aspects of a cult. Just as with the Mafia and the Masons, so the members of common purpose look after one another in life. But where they are far, far worse is that they seek to gain and then to abuse power in order to change the world. They have been incredibly successful. The title says Britain, folks, on today's podcast. Clearly, this is a global agenda. It's why it's called the New World Order. On the surface, CP are a political charity who offer management training courses designed so that the various sectors of society can work better together. No doubt many people who have attended their courses believe this. But this is not what is really going on. These attendees are just useful idiots, common purpose drones. A little bit like the kind of left-wing thinking that's getting churned out of British universities without, you know, under the guise of inclusivity, without people even really knowing. Common purpose are social engineers who want to change the world. Well, no, common purpose aren't. I just got to correct our wonderful, what was his name? Bruce here. Common purpose are just young, naive people, for the most part, that think they're really making a change in the planet, and that this inclusivity, because remember, they've had trauma in their life, like we all have. They think that they've been hurt in life, and they don't want other people to be hurt. So they think inclusivity is the way. What they don't understand is that life isn't about inclusivity. Life is about energy, vibration, and frequency. And the last thing you want to be doing is focusing, as I've already said, on people's identity, because that's matrix thinking. Until you learn to think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency at the quantum level, which is how we affect change, you're easily controllable, because you actually think you're you, because you got a birth certificate and you got, I don't know, a tattoo and a funny haircut. And my point is, common purpose are probably just well-meaning, gullible people like fills our universities. The social engineers are the big club folks, whether you think they're Sabateans or, you know, whatever it's pretty obvious who they are. If you haven't worked it out yet, you're probably not going to. They're the people that create common purpose, and the way they do it is like this. They start off, have you noticed these are all unelected think tanks, unelected bodies, World Economic Forum, you know, Chatham House, Tavistock Institute, the Council on Foreign Relations, all these governing bodies which have all of our best interests at heart, they're all unelected, and they're all formed off the back of charity, as though it's going to be some kind of great idea. And in society now, and in local kind of, in your locality, should I say, you've got all these kind of like cooperatives that are formed. So the farmers will form some in here, the bakers doing something over there, the food, and it's all unofficial and it's non-governable, and then what slowly happens is these people start to actually get to believe that they have authority, and they can start telling people what to do, even though they're unelected and they're just essentially private businessmen. This is like the World Economic Forum. When did Klaus Schwab get told that he's allowed to control anyone's life? He's friends with Heinz Kissinger, for crying out loud. That should preclude anyone from even being able to organise a picnic. Shouldn't be able to organise a sandwich. And yet somehow he's the head of this organisation that's taken it upon themselves to dictate to government how it should be. So this is what Common Purpose is. It's just another one of these organisations. It will get so big for its boots, and people will naively go, oh, that's like Common Purpose, we've got to listen to them because aren't they dead? And it's like, no, they're not. They're not. Anyway, using neuro-linguistic programming to brainwash their course attendees like a religious cult. They want to divide the world into two sorts of people. Again, folks, what I'm saying is it's not the naive people in Common Purpose. It's the big club who are controlling these naive people. I think I made that point right. And then everyone else who must do what they're told. They want to get rid of nations and nationality. Remember the Sabatean agenda, folks? It's all the same thing. A big part of the identity that defines us as individuals. This gets a bit complicated. I won't cover it now. And to achieve this, they want to get rid of democracy and free speech. So just so I know that's a bit confusing. They don't want community. Hence your Zoom meetings, you're working from home, that thing, right? They don't want community. They don't want strong. I'm just giving a cliched example. Ardnut British men who are up for a scrap, as we've proved in a few world wars. They don't want that. They don't want you talking to people in your community, raising your suspicions about the new world order. They want isolated people in their little bubble, trapped in their ego. That's where the identity comes in. Trapped in the ego, because ego is inextricably linked to identity. And people that are led by their egos, very easily controlled. That's all of Hollywood and all of the music industry. So, just keeping an eye on the time here. So, yes, there we go. And when you see these list of things, folks, that they want to achieve, this is this is cultural Marxism, basically. You'll see it's just exactly the same as the Sabatean thing. It's all the same people, folks. It's the parasite network exercising their control over the puppetry. And you can be puppets for lots of reasons. You can be puppets because you follow an organised religion and you don't realise you're being controlled. You can be a puppet because you're in a banking system and you think it's only normal to screw people over. You can be a puppet because you're a Hollywood pop star or actor or whatever, and you actually think you're the big cheese. You're some kind of big hero. You don't know. You're just literally being played by the club. The scale of what they achieved is stunning, with more than 100,000 graduates in powerful management positions. They now effectively control the police, the Conservative Party, most education. Teachers are prime useful idiots. Well, you saw this during the last 3 years, didn't they? What they put them kids through. I'm not blaming teachers. They've all been dumbed down so much, folks, and they've all been, such a party to this process that they don't have the ability to think. So they'll just go along with what's dictated to them. Trade unions, civil service, the BBC, obviously that's a given. NHS, Church of England, many charities, and much local government. Going to quickly flick through this. So, and here they're playing you, folks. They're playing you. It's exactly the brainwashing that comes from these organisations like Common Purpose, the university system, that says, hey, if you don't invite every immigrant into your country, you're a racist, man. And if you question the system that's bringing all the, you're anti-Semitic. Do you see the slurs they bring in to try to get you to feel guilty about having your own mind? That's called mind control. And here they are complaining in the Telegraph about the mass migration that shattered Britain's identity, whilst telling you you're not allowed to object to this mass migration that's shattering Britain's identity, because Britain, you should be ashamed to have an identity. You're nothing more than slave traders. And B, it's racist not to open your borders and let every single Tom, Dick and Harry in. Okay, I'm being a bit facetious, folks. You get the point. Then you get this nonsense. I was estranged from my mother, so I made my own AI mum. That's not how it works. What happens if you've got parental issues is you try to understand where your parents came from and why they turn out to be a couple of knobs. Then through that you develop empathy. You go, right, I didn't realise they had a hard time like that. I kind of can forgive them a bit. I don't accept the behaviour, that was awful, but I kind of forgive them a bit. And then you offer the hand of peace. If they don't take it, you heal, you move on, because it's all a part of this, isn't it? Again, you heal. Down here, if you want to live with shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, and anger and pride, fine, go and do it. But you're just living in the matrix your whole life. You're never going to experience the beauty of being free and having your own freedom. Bear with me. So this is all strings of the same bow is what I'm trying to say. This is Julia's story. She's a university person that's in the Common Purpose, and I just picked this to highlight a few things we can pick out. Folks, if you can give us a like and subscribe, would really appreciate it. Fostering inclusion to create a successful education strategy. What utter nonsense. That's like saying, fostering poisoned onions to make a massively successful barbecue. It's like, no, there's some things you want in your picnic and there's some things you don't, because they're not suitable. You can't just, taking bricks to a picnic is being inclusive, but it's not necessarily getting the best result for everyone concerned, is it? There's a few things here. She's saying how this learning has been immensely useful. She's saying universities work the commitment to equality, diversity and inclusion. You don't want equality, diversity and inclusion. What you want is people to understand the ego trap, which is that one there, and that living in your identity is just going to lead you to problems. You are the universe, folks. You're the eternal energy. You're the quantum energy. Some people will call that God. I know that upsets people. You are awesome. You are not just defined by what you look like when you look in the bloody mirror, or how many arms and legs or pairs of boobs you've got. It's just no one's ever told you that before, because the agenda has purposely hidden it from you. But the high-functioning societies are the ones that recognise that everyone has different skills. So in a hunter-gatherer society, for example, you know, Stig, he's good at firing the bow and arrow. Stig, guess what your job is? Yes, thank you, because you're going to bring home the bacon. You're going to bring home the wild boar. You know, whereas Sheila over there, she's mental at picking blackberries. Sheila, yeah, you know what we're going to ask? Do you know what I mean? Getting Sheila to fire the bow and arrow just to be inclusive, you can see where this is going, can't you? And everybody starves. This is the nonsense of this is just the nonsense. This is the brainwashing, folks. This is the mind control. The culture of Newcastle and the wider region, which our university is deeply invested in to build a better future. Utter BS. You don't even know what them lines are in the sky and why they're there, whether it's the 80 billion tons of... God, I pulled up some bloody statistics. Look at these. Excuse me using Google, folks. It's just to be quick. Look, 4 trillion cubic meters of natural gas per year, 11 billion cubic meters per day, 8 billion tons of coal per year. This is just in the US alone, I believe. We don't know whether the solar radiation management, which is that stuff you see in the sky, basically, you know, all them funny lines when the planes have gone over. We don't know what is even the reason behind that. We don't know about man-made climate change. We don't know. We don't know if Soros funds Just Stop Oil. What is that? How? You know, there's a lot to explore, is what I'm saying. The notion that this woman thinks her university is in any way going to sort out any problems in Newcastle. All it's going to do is sell Newcastle down the pan as quick as it can. So Newcastle no longer recognises itself as a city. You know, the zebra crossings will be replaced with rainbows. It's nonsense, folks, and you just got to see it. You got to see it for, you know, you got to see it for what it is. Just play you a wee bit of it. This is one of the common purpose directors. I have nothing against this I've got nothing but love for this person, folks. I just think he doesn't understand what he's involved in. We play a bit.
Didn't always have to project being the strong leader, always leading from the front. That she could step back and open up. And she could work with her peers in the team for the team rather than her own individual success. These young leaders see a world where discrimination and intolerance is increasing. Over 3/4 of them have experienced discrimination and intolerance both offline and online. That's the overwhelming majority of 1,000 young people.
So the way to address that, we've already acknowledged, haven't we, through the pyramid chart or the upside down, whatever it is. You address it by explaining to people from birth that they're born perfect, that they don't need to change for no one. They don't need to kowtow to anything or anyone, that everyone is equal on the planet because we're all just part of the quantum energy field. That's how you address issues of diversity and inclusion. You don't address them by chucking the kitchen sink at literally everything, and when it screws things up or people disagree, calling them racist bigots.
People from across the world experiencing discrimination and intolerance. And that's why they're committed to being a generation who counterbalance intolerance by being inclusive.
So what he's going on to say... What he's going on to say here is, you know, they're encouraging young people to question the old fogies. You know, my generation, you were slow on the internet. You didn't respect us until we had so many years in the work. Well, look at the way that the the world's going. Can't really go on the way. I mean, you're welcome to disagree. I think it will all end well, folks. I won't worry about that. I'm just saying though that there's a lot of utopian-eyed naivety that goes on in this narrative. Right, I've got to go. I'm already going to be late, which I don't like to be. If we can get some likes and subscribe, folks, I will pick this up. I'm going to see if I can get Eli to come on and we can bat a few things back and forward. Let me know your thoughts below, folks. Let me know any questions you have, anything you want explaining further, and we'll do that. And and the last thing I wanted to say is just a massive thank you to everyone that supported my Atlantic row, me and the boys rowing the Atlantic in December to shine a light for all those people struggling with their mental health, like our veteran brothers and sisters who are taking their own lives at a silly rate, and children who've been bereaved by these suicides, or through conflict, through no fault of their own. If you can support us and bung us a $5, folks, that would be really, really kind. Let's just keep the vibration high. Let's keep supporting. Let's keep loving each other. There's a link for that below. I'm out of here. Much love.